Governance. Leading principle. Market participants are expected to have a sound and effective governance framework to provide for clear responsibility for and comprehensive oversight of their FX market activity, and to promote responsible engagement in the FX market. Appropriate governance structures should be in place to promote and support the principles set out in this code. Different firms' governance structures may vary in complexity and scope. The precise structure adopted should be commensurate with the size and complexity of the market participants' FX market activities, and the nature of the market participants' engagement in the FX market, taking into account applicable law. Principle 4. The body or individual that is ultimately responsible for the market participants' FX business strategy and financial soundness should put in place adequate and effective structures and mechanisms to provide for appropriate oversight, supervision, and controls with regard to the market participants' FX market activity. The body or individual that is ultimately responsible for the market participants' FX business strategy and financial soundness should put in place an operational structure with clearly defined and transparent lines of responsibility for the market participants' FX market activity. Effective oversight of the market participants' FX market activity based on appropriate management information. An environment that encourages effective challenge to senior management charged with day-to-day responsibility for the market participants' FX market activity, and independent control functions and mechanisms to assess whether the market participants' FX market activities are conducted in a manner that reflects the market participants' operational risk and conduct requirements. Such functions should have sufficient stature, resources, and access to the body or individual that is ultimately responsible for the market participants' FX business strategy and financial soundness. In implementing the above, consideration should be given to the types of activities that the market participant engages in, including if the market participant engages in the provision or usage of electronic trading activities or prime broker services. Principle 5. Market participants should embed a strong culture of ethical and professional conduct with regard to their FX market activities. Market participants should, among other things, expect senior management to be highly visible to relevant personnel of the market participant in articulating and modeling the desired practices, values, and conduct. Take appropriate steps to promote and reinforce all relevant personnel's awareness and understanding of the values and the ethical and conduct standards that should be adhered to in their engagement in the FX market and applicable law that is relevant to them, and make all relevant personnel aware that disciplinary or other actions may result from unacceptable behaviors and transgressions of the market participants' policies. Principle 6. Market participants should have remuneration and promotion structures that promote market practices and behaviors that are consistent with the market participants' ethical and professional conduct. Expectations. Firms' remuneration and promotion structures should encourage practices and behaviors that are consistent with the firm's ethical and professional conduct expectations. They should not incentivize personnel to engage in inappropriate behaviors or practices, or to take risks beyond the overall business risk parameters of the market participant. Factors that should be taken into account include, but are not limited to, the mix of pay components, such as fixed and variable, the form and timing of payment for the variable pay component, how such structures align the interest of relevant personnel with the interests of the firm over both short and long-term horizons, and appropriate mechanisms to discourage inappropriate practices or behaviors. Principle 7. Market participants should have appropriate policies and procedures to handle and respond to potentially improper practices and behaviors effectively. Market participants should maintain policies and procedures supported by effective mechanisms to provide confidential channels for personnel or external parties to raise concerns about potentially improper practices and behaviors and investigate and respond to such reports as appropriate. Specifically, firms should be clear with relevant personnel and external parties about where and how to report concerns about potentially improper practices and behaviors, including, but not limited to, cases of illegal, unethical, or questionable practices and behaviors, confidentially and without fear of reprisal or retribution. Reports of potentially improper practices or behavior of the market participant should be investigated by independent parties or functions. Such parties or functions should possess sufficient skills and experience and be given the necessary resources and access to conduct the investigation. Market participants should complete the investigation and determine the appropriate outcome within a reasonable time frame, taking into account the nature and complexity of the matter in question. Escalation within the firm and reporting outside the firm may be appropriate before an investigation is concluded. The reports and results should be brought to the attention of the appropriate individuals within the market participant and, if appropriate, to relevant regulatory or public authorities.